Diane had no idea how or why it happened, but the poor thing was suddenly sucked into a swirling vortex and unceremoniously expelled on the other side. The sensation was suffocating and constrictive, making it hard to breathe. But soon she found herself in a new place. She clutched her trembling head in her hands, feeling the weight of her predicament. This was exactly why she was never allowed to join her siblings on missions. These kinds of chaotic, dangerous situations seemed to find her alone. She was stranded by herself. Where were they? Where was Tyra? Where was Xavier? No. Her thoughts spun frantically. She forced herself to her feet, feeling the energy around her body falter. This universe was unfamiliar to her, and her instincts screamed that she was out of place. She stood in a park, the encroaching darkness signaling that nightfall was near, which only heightened her anxiety. Her magic was running dangerously low, as if it had been siphoned away from her very essence. She needed to find shelter quickly. At just 12 years old, Diane was far from ordinary. Despite the urge to panic, she remembered Tyra's advice. Never panic, no matter the circumstances. She had dark brown skin and long, curly black hair tied up in a tight ponytail. Her attire was a pair of cute pink shortalls, which did little to hide her small and fragile frame. A cut on her arm stung, but she was managing as best she could. Finding somewhere safe was her immediate priority. In the depths of the forest, a wolf prowled with keen senses attuned to the scents of the wild. His nose twitched with every whiff of the breeze, as he hunted for something to satisfy the gnawing hunger in his belly. The sharp, metallic scent of blood suddenly penetrated his senses, filling him with a primal thrill. He followed the scent eagerly, his nose guiding him through the trees until he emerged into a clearing. There he spotted Diane. Instincts told him to be wary. Humans could be dangerous and unpredictable, even if they didn't look it. However, the scent of blood was too compelling to ignore. The wolf remained hidden in the shadows of the woods, his silver eyes locked on the girl as he observed from a distance. Diane scanned her surroundings, but her senses were too depleted to detect anything following her. Despite a nagging feeling that she wasn't alone, her waning energy couldn't pinpoint any nearby entities. In the distance, she spotted a tree with a large cavity, an option for shelter. It looked spacious enough for her to squeeze inside, and she needed warmth. Venturing into a city was too risky. Things could go wrong fast. She pulled out some leaves and discarded the twigs before crawling into the hollow. "I'll stay here for the night. Tyra and the others will come back for me, if they're not shouting their heads off," she muttered to herself, trying to reassure herself despite her racing heart. The wolf approached slowly, his movements deliberate. Though his mouth remained still, a voice emerged clearly from him. Only a fool would choose to stay out here. This wolf was far from ordinary. It resembled an alien version of a wolf, with two tails and front limbs much bulkier than usual. He circled the area around Diane's hiding spot, emitting a low growl as he spoke. "It's dangerous out here. Many creatures would relish a meal." Diane's eyes shot open the moment she heard the voice, her anxiety spiking. She inched deeper into the tree cavity, trying to escape the growing dread. What was that thing? It couldn't have been a wolf. Its appearance was too grotesque. She was frozen, unsure of how to respond. The creature's ability to speak was unsettling, though she had magic herself, so it wasn't entirely out of the realm of possibility. "Are you one of those animals?" she stammered, her voice trembling. "I could be," the creature replied, continuing to circle the tree. "That being said, if I were, I would have attacked you by now." He paused, something like a sigh escaping him. "Why are you here? You seem too young to be wandering around alone. I would ask if you're in danger, but that much is evident." Diane pressed her lips together, debating whether to stay silent or speak. She didn't want to provoke the creature any further, but she also knew that remaining quiet might not be the best strategy. The tree cavity was likely not the safest refuge, but it was her only option for now. She took a deep breath and chose her words carefully. I'm lost. I got separated from my family. Am I Am I trespassing in these woods? The creature, sitting just outside the tree, shook his head. Number the forest belongs to no one. Life simply continues as it does. Despite his intimidating appearance, his demeanor seemed surprisingly calm, showing no immediate intent to harm her. Where did you come from? I doubt there is anyone nearby. How did you get separated from your family and end up here? Despite the intimidating presence of the creature, Diane couldn't help but look down at her knees, avoiding direct eye contact with the wolf. My sisters and brothers were fighting something, and I got in the way, she explained. Though her mind raced with the real memory of being thrown through a vortex, the fight against demons was ongoing, and she had inadvertently been caught in the crossfire. Something attacked me and She hesitated, not daring to mention the vortex. I hit my head, I think, and must have strayed off the path because of the dizziness. Diane was never very good at lying, and it showed in her voice. The creature paused, a look of disbelief crossing his face before he broke into laughter. You hit your head? And ended up all the way out here in the middle of nowhere? Either you took quite a knock or you've got a terrible sense of direction. His amusement turned serious as he continued. If you're dizzy, you'll be an easy target for the creatures that roam this forest. There are other beings like me here, though not as intelligent. Monsters make their home in these woods. As the wolf's laughter subsided, Diane felt a flicker of irritation but remained wary. Monsters, you say? She asked, trying to keep her composure. Then, I suppose, I should probably get out of here as soon as possible, right? She hoped that by expressing her intent to leave, the strange wolf might lose interest in her and let her go without further trouble. Oh yes, of course. And how do you plan on doing that? I assume you are familiar with these woods. You know where the nearest settlement is, I'm sure? Unless you hit your head and ended up in a different forest. The wolf's tone was clearly mocking, his eyes glinting with amusement as he observed the young girl. Diane felt her face flush with frustration at his taunting. I think if I retrace my steps and go back the way I came, I can probably find a settlement, or maybe some humans will find me. Her voice wavered, betraying her uncertainty. It sounded like a thin excuse, and she was aware that the wolf might be playing with her, exploiting her confusion and fear. The wolf's expression shifted slightly, though he maintained his circling motion. I could get you out of here. I just so happen to know the way. All I ask is that you make a deal with me. A simple deal, nothing too bad. He stopped pacing and looked directly at her, his silver eyes reflecting a hint of something unreadable. A deal? Diane echoed, her voice trembling as she remembered her father's warnings about such bargains. But faced with the prospect of escaping the forest and avoiding further danger, she knew she had little choice. Yeah, okay. Yeah. What do you want? I don't have much. I could offer money, but I can't give it to you right away or anything. The wolf tilted his head slightly, dismissing her offer. I do not want money. What could I possibly do with money? He gestured toward himself with a flick of his head. No, the deal is this. You are wounded, and that will attract others. You will be the bait as I lead you out of here. Whatever shows up, I will deal with. I am very hungry, you see. The arrangement didn't seem too bad considering her situation. Her healing factor was compromised from the landing, but she wasn't worried about infection. Her half-breed divine blood had always attracted demons, though this place was different. Diane wondered if the wolf, now revealed as a mere boy, could actually handle whatever came after her. Yes, I've noticed. All right, I accept this deal. Diane agreed, her voice steadier than before. She took a deep breath, then cautiously crawled out from the tree's cavity, her back pressed against the bark, her fear palpable. To her surprise, the hulking wolf was gone. In his place stood a young boy who appeared to be about her age. His black hair was matted and unkempt, and his face wore a curious expression. He was dressed in tattered rags resembling a medical gown, with heavy bandages wrapping his left arm from wrist to shoulder. Despite his ragged appearance, he moved with an otherworldly grace, as if deeply connected to the natural world. He extended a hand to her. "Laika," he said simply. Diane stared at him, taken aback by the sudden transformation. The boy looked as though he had just emerged from some sort of ordeal, contrasting sharply with her own relatively clean appearance. After a moment of hesitation, she slowly reached out and took his hand. I'm Diane," she replied, her voice a mix of apprehension and curiosity. They stared at each other for a bit,